President Donald Trump dropped an executive order on April 3rd, 2026, called or about saving college sports. It is titled Urgent National Action to Save College Sports. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how this executive order impacts player development. Now, player development, some of you all watching this because of the title, some of you all are subscribers. About 90% of you all who don't watch don't subscribe, so please subscribe, like, and share. But player development is defined as the enhancement of the athlete experience through holistic and intentional programs and initiatives. That is how we define it at Beyond the Field. My name is Ed Jones. I'm the founder of Beyond the Field, where we develop people and elevate programs. And so we're going to talk about the executive order from a player development lens. That is the enhancement of the athlete experience. Okay. So that's where we're coming from with this video, with this podcast, with this episode, with this, whatever you want to call what we're doing right now. Okay. Before we get into this episode, I want to be very clear. This conversation is based on the executive order titled Urgent National Action to Save College Sports, and is analyzed strictly through the lens of player development and the student athlete experience. This is not a political endorsement of any party, individual, or administration. The purpose of this episode is education, awareness, and discussion around how policies may impact athletes and systems that support them. So that is what we're doing. We're going to just talk about the executive order. All right. So I saw the executive order and I went through it. I just finished reading the entire document. It came out this weekend. This was Easter weekend. Happy Easter for you all who celebrate Resurrection Sunday for some of you all. So this is Sunday night. And I finally had a chance to read it. And so I went through it. I took some notes. So I was going to break it down different ways, but we'll just go straight through it. We'll just go straight through it because I put some notes on the side and how I liked it and what I thought about it. I will say this. We'll just go from where it is overall. Overall, I thought it was very, very well written. There's a lot of things I like. There's a couple things I disagree with. But overall, when we're talking about the student athlete experience and saving college sports, there are a lot of things in this executive order that allow for the student experience to be great. And we'll talk about those things there. All right, so let's start here. Section 1, purpose and policy. So this, once again, is the second executive order for you all who have kept track to protect college sports. He had one earlier, really towards women in Olympic sports. So this one is another one to just kind of stabilize where sports is. Now, one thing that this executive order has in there that is very, very clear, and I know from my time in the space, is that college football is the primary, it says right here, college football is the primary revenue generator for university athletic departments. And that is so true. I sat in a meeting in 2019 when I was hired at the University of Kansas. And at the time, we weren't really good in football. And that may be an understatement. But we were sitting there and our athletic director, Jeff Long, talked about the importance of getting people in the seats in football. Even though basketball was doing so well, Kansas basketball, incredible program, one of the blue bloods, they were bringing in enough to help us get over. We never went under because of the basketball program. But the AD broke down that even a 6 or 7 win football team, if they can get 70,000 people to sit in that stadium for 6 or 7 games a year, that helps immensely. And I remember the head baseball coach jumped up and he agreed. He said, hey, all us Olympic sports and other non-revenue sports, we need to get together. And baseball's not an Olympic sport, but he was saying all the other sports need to get together and, come behind football and really, really help. And that was like my first time. I knew that was the case, but hearing that and seeing that, I love they got straight to it. College football is the primary revenue generator for athletics. I mean, you think about it, what other thing on the campus can bring 70 to 80 to some stadiums, 100,000 people to your campus to pay for parking, to pay for tailgate space, to pay for tickets, concessions, to bring, money to the city, different things like money to the campus. So that is very, very clear here. And so since that is the clear statement in this executive order, it then states that these factors place enormous pressure on many universities to be competitive in football. So there is a huge pressure to be competitive. Why? Because college football is your main driver for funding when it comes to your athletic department. All right, now it says here, just taking straight from it, amid the pressure, the rules governing pay for play eligibility and other aspects of college athletics have been substantially loosened through a number of judicial rulings. So some of you all have seen these eligibility rulings, all these different rulings that are happening, whatever it may be. It may be different in this state, it may be different here, it may be different there. And so those things have kind of, jeopardized different stabilities in sport. One thing I really got out of this when I was reading this, and it talked about how some states, state legislators are incentivized to advantage their own state's university in the competitive market for student athletes by minimizing barriers to recruitment. So it talked about that they understand that some of these states are incentivized for their state university to do what they need to do to bring a player back for another year, whatever that may look like, to once again drive that college football team, to drive that revenue, to drive more people come into the university there. I mean, this example, you have the March Madness, right? High Point went deep, and I think they had so many different applications that happens in football multiple times. It's called the Doug Flutie effect. If you haven't heard about it, please go check it out. Going back to this document, it says this chaotic state of affairs has undermined competition, reduced opportunities for student athletes, and jeopardized support for the current range of college athletics, particularly women and Olympic sports. And so that's a good one right there, right? Reduce opportunities for student athletes overall and jeopardize support for current range of college athletics. And once again, they're bringing in women's and Olympic sports, right? Because at the end of the day, if it keeps going where it's going to go, it's only going to be a football team. It's only going to be a football team on campus. And that is something that I just don't want to see. Being in the space, I was at the University of Houston, University of Kansas, and Baylor University. That is not something you want to see. It says here, fair competition cannot occur without a consistent set of rules concerning pay for play, player eligibility. Excuse me. Totally agree with that. I'll scan down here. I talked about the enormous pressure to win in football and basketball, and some of the loosening has created an out of control financial arms race in these sports that is driving universities into debt. And so they talked about that, the recruiting. Like, you all have seen the figures, you've seen the NIL, the revenue sharing numbers, you've seen it, you've seen what coaches are getting paid, right? And I'm not trying to get in anybody's pockets, because if anybody wants to give Beyond the Field that type of money, hey, we are here for it, right? But it is driving, universities into debt. This was a stat I did not know that's in here. It talked about the athletic related financial threats these crucial universities face are substantial. Already one major athletic program closed fiscal 2025 year with a $535 million in athletics related debt. Now, that university they didn't list, but that university is Penn State, right? $535 million in debt. Most of that went to the renovation of the stadium. And then another has $437 million in such debt. That one is Florida State. Once again, most of that went to the renovation of football stadium. But you have to renovate the football stadium, going back to what they said earlier, because football is the main driver. It is the main driver. And so you see those debts there. It's just like, yo, that is crazy. Now, one thing that I really, really liked here, or maybe I'm skipping ahead. Let me not skip ahead. Let me go. Okay, I'll go back. I'm skipping ahead. Oh, no, I'm right here. All right. So they talked about when you don't have a national solution, the escalating financial demands to succeed in football and basketball combined with significant loosened rules creates a just a place where the financial well-being of universities is now at stake, like the overall university. And it broke down how the federal government needs universities to not go into debt, because the federal government, you have so many researchers and students that will help the federal government, the country overall, different things like that. And you can't continue to have $500 million debts every single year. And so the government is really stepping in because they really want to curb what's happening with these university debts, because the government is, it talks about right here, the line is, the healthy university system is integral to the federal government's basic function, right? And so there's a lot of relationship there, for lack of a better word, there. All right, now, and to kind of end this purpose part right here, I really like this point right here. Further, without a national solution to protect the future of competition and opportunity in all college sports, it is possible that the largest college football programs will be forced to seek stability through a negotiated solution that may result in the withdrawal of financial and other resources from women and Olympic sports. Once again, they're honing in, and hey, if this thing keeps going how it's going, women and Olympic sports will be done, because all the money's going to have to go to football, so the football can be competitive and continue to go where it's going. All right, now let's jump down here, and we're going to talk more. A lot of these things right here are some things they broke down. So that was the whole, what I just went over was like the purpose of the executive order. Basically, if we want to talk about it, it was to protect, really honestly, essentially protect women's and Olympic sports, protect the athletes that are playing in football and basketball, and then to protect universities as a whole. There's some other stuff in there as well. All right, now, so here are some of the things that they want to have in place, and I'll go over a few of them. The definitions is in section 3 for you all that want to read it. Improper financial activities, right? They want to relegate, all right, improper financial activities. And there's a whole different thing there, but it could talk about agents, affiliates, representatives. They want to nip that in the bud. Fraudulent NIL schemes, right? Fraudulent NIL schemes. Hey, we're doing it this way. This is what NIL looks like, but it's fraudulent, right? You find different things. It's not fair market, whatever it may be. There's things there. Scrolling down here a little more, age-based eligibility limits is something they want to work with, right? Some of you all are familiar with the basis of it, but the age-based eligibility limit. So there's some games where you see guys who are 7-year, 8-year, athletes, right, or student athletes, and you're like, man, they're 25 or getting that 27, 28, and that's that can be interesting, right? When if I got a 17-year-old son and next to him is a 27, somebody like in the locker room is 27-year-old, I would kind of, there's some things I would be thinking about there. Right now, I will say this, that I see what I do and I have seen it, and I would have to disagree with this if this doesn't allow for that person who hasn't been to college or that international student who is coming over to play. I would have to disagree with that, because at the University of Houston, we had a punter, Dane Roy. Shout out to Dane. Dane was 30-year-old freshman. We were literally the same age when I first started working in player development, from Australia. He had never been to university, and this was his first time, right? Sight unseen, came to University of Houston, had a really, really good career, maybe one of the greatest punters in the University of Houston history. But so with Dane, I can see that if there's that age base, like people who have been there. Now, for people who have been there and you're going to 7, 8 years, that I understand the age limits there. Now, with that said, what I do disagree with is there's a participation in college athletics that's permitted for no more than a 5-year period. Now, I have a friend, shout out to my friend Bernardo Fernandez. We argue about this all the time. I understand the 5-year period. You got 5 to play. I get it. I'm a big believer in 6, giving 6 or having that conditional 6 year because of injuries. And I know injuries are a part of the game, right? This is what my friend Bernard always tells me, like, injuries are a part of the game. I get that. But I think that having that extra year, if I come into, let's say, for instance, I played my freshman year, my sophomore year, I tear my knee, I get back, boom, come back my redshirt sophomore year, play my redshirt junior year, I'm going to my redshirt senior year, boom, I tear my knee, right? It would suck that hey, that 5 years is gone, you're out of here, right? That's why I like the 6 year, because I like that extra year just in case for injury. It could be a conditional year, it could be a whatever year, but I like 6. I just like that year there. So I disagree with that there, but I get it. There are some exceptions for military service, missionary service, and any other periods of absence for participation that are of public interest. So there are some exemptions there. I didn't see injury in there, but that's what I prefer. All right, scrolling down here, provide the ability to transfer one time during that 5-year period with an immediate playing eligibility. So that means that you get one chance to transfer in that 5 years and play immediately. I do like this play immediately concept because I've seen transfers happen and people transfer. And I remember I was in it when guys had to sit out a year. And so I do like the plan immediately. And then there's one additional transfer if the athlete obtains a 4-year degree. So you get one, and I get a 4-year degree, I'm playing 5, I got an extra year. Or there's some people that get those degrees in 3 years, right? Some 2.5, right? And then they have that extra transfer there. So those are only 2 transfers they talk about. They did not have, where I would have to disagree, they did not have on here, or was not in the executive order, the executive order did not have for coach change. So if there was a coach change, that was not in there. And so I'm a big believer, if a coach changes, the players should be able to transfer as well, because there's opportunities where people have signed on signing day, coach going right after signing day. And so I'm a big believer in that being it. So I would say there are 3 opportunities. You could do 1 and 5. I say 6, but 1 and 5 just to go with this. one after you graduate, and then there's a conditional one that if your coach leaves, you can have it. I really love this part right here. Prioritize the academic development, success, and graduation, and long-term well-being of student athletes. I love, if there's anything else I love, or let me say it this way. The thing I love most about the executive order is this right here. Prioritize the academic development, success, graduation, and long-term well-being of the student athletes. And so that graduation rate, that's what people aren't talking about. It's not even graduation rate. Some of these academic plans are so bad. Someone can leave as a junior at one school and then come back and be a sophomore because of all this. And you got all these guys transferring to 7 schools, 5 schools, 3 schools, and they leave and they got, so many ever credits they needed to play, right? And it's just, that's frustrating because we have to remind, like, the way to get to NFL. I mean, the NCAA tournament is going on right now, March Madness, and every billboard says 98% of student athletes make it pro in something other than their sport. And so that degree, that pathway, that graduation is huge, because I mean, it's just, there's so many stories about these guys, and they can't even transfer to other schools. Think about that. Imagine I want to transfer, and my academic plan is so jacked up that I can't transfer into school. I jumped in the transfer portal. I left this opportunity. Now I can't go somewhere else, and I'm stuck because I didn't take care of the academic side. So I really love that. Another one here is ensure that the transfer window does not interfere basically with the athletic season or the academic year. I like that, right? Because some of the things that was pretty tough, I think last year, Penn State had a backup quarterback who had to jump in the portal during their CFP run, and they're going to play for the national championship, and or one game away from the national championship because he had to jump in the portal, right? Or the academic year, it's like, or you see the NCAA tournament, they'll play a game, boom, first round, now they're in the portal the next day. It's that there has to be a better way, and so I love that they're addressing the transfer window there. And when I say they, I mean President Trump and his staff and whoever's on this committee. I know they had a meeting a couple weeks ago to discuss this. Medical care, I like this one as well. Medical care for student athletes for intercollegiate athletics related injuries during the period of their enrollment and a reasonable period of time after. That is huge for them to get medical care for injuries they had as an athlete. I think that is huge. I'm glad there is a provision in there for that. I'll scroll down here. I like that they talked about real quick revenue sharing between the athlete and the university to continue to make sure the revenue sharing continues to help Olympic sports stay there. I do like, this was something they snuck in. Well, not snuck in, but it's here with a prohibition on the use of federal funds by higher education institutions for NIL or revenue sharing payments or coaching or athletic compensation, right? So I'd say those coaching salaries, right? They don't know federal funds on those, right? If I read that correctly. The next one is prohibition on improper financial activities regarding student athletes, including collectives or other entities. So making sure, like, everything's good. And then this one right here, because the ESPN article came out last week. This one's huge. I like this one as well. A national student athlete agent registry, right? So all their agents have to get in this registry, and reasonable protections for student athletes from excessive agent commissions. That is huge. That is huge. I've seen some things where agents are trying to get 20 to 25% off these players, right? And if you have an agency, you can protect these student athletes from excessive agent commissions. And so I like that as well, because that is something that is happening. I'm hearing some stories. I'm consulting, right? Beyond the field, we come consult. We consult with pro teams, collegiate teams, high schools, youth. We come consult. I have the Beyond model. I help people build player development plans and strategy and systems for their athletes, right? So I'm not in the role like I used to be, but I've heard stories from people that are in the role about what these agents are wanting, what they're wanting to get, and how crazy that can be. And so they're nipping that in the bud there. All right, now something that kind of piqued my interest, that right there was that what I just read to you all right there is the section, basically all the section of what they want done by August 1st. August 1st is about 117 days away. Is 117 days away from the day that this video is will be published. And so that's there. So these are all the things that would be in there, and they're trying to pass it to Congress and get more, the government systems. I'm not government expert. I'm a player development expert, but more government systems pass all this. So that was kind of all the things that would be in there. Once again, you can read this. You can find it on Google. It's there. One thing I did like, and I guess when I look at this, the consultation of the people talking to this, or the people who have this, is basically the White House will consider input from appropriate leaders in college athletics and administration and other experts regarding effective implementation of this order. And so I really like that, that they're considering appropriate leaders. I hope they find the right leaders, right? Like seriously, the right leaders for this aspect, not the leaders that either side or pander or like, hey, I like this guy because I like this guy. We need the leaders who are going to help with this, right? All this is written well. This is written well to me personally. Looking from a player development lens, you have to have the right people in space. And I think with those leaders that administrate, those experts, they have to have someone that is player facing. They have to have someone that is player facing on that. I know they'll have athletic directors, former coaches. There'll probably be some people from that room that met, but I know it could be tough to get athletes in there, but they have to have someone that is player facing, experts, like myself or others who need to be there and consider for input there. But I hope it's the right leaders, and I hope everyone in that room is doing what's best for the athlete, not their ego, not their stance, not for the position they can get, not for a favor they can do, not for whatever it may be. If this thing is written, if we can find people in the room to do with how this executive order is written, and keep it as fair to this as possible, I think it could be a success. And I think it could save college sports. You know, as a player development professional, I see it. I see the transition. I think about it, right? I'm going to talk about some things here about how it helps player development in the future. But I see where it's at, and the constant transfer. And I'm talking to people in the space who can't build relationships, right? Or like they got these players for 6-month leases, and they're seeing that players shouldn't get in the portal, and they do. And it's causing all this stuff. And we're getting horror stories right now happening, and it will continue if we don't do something. So interested to see who those appropriate leaders will be in that room from college athletics and administration, and those experts who will be in that room as well. All right, now when we look at this, I want to go back because it's all about player development, right? It's all about player development. Once again, I will read this. Disclaimer. This content is strictly educational and rooted in player development. It does not support or oppose any political party, policy, or individual. The focus is solely on how this executive order impacts student athletes and their experience. So with that said, now I want to talk about what I would do after reading this. If I was in the role, and I just broke it down like I did there, and I just read it and I was in the role, and I had to think about, okay, what's coming down the line? How do I handle this? How do I go about this? Number one, I would make sure I had a foundation, a player development foundation in place. Make sure you have a foundation in place for how you would do things, right? Make sure you have a foundation in place for how you do things. Now, beyond the field, we have the Beyond model, right? We have the Beyond model where we have the acronym of Beyond, where B is belonging, E is education, Y is your purpose, O is opportunities, N is navigation, and D is development systems, right? So if you don't have a foundation and you're in player development, please reach out. I would love to come and help you set the foundation, but you need to have a foundation set up, because there will be more stability. If this goes through, there will be more stability with student athletes not moving around, and you're going to be asked to develop them, and that's going to be expectation. And I don't want you to sit there and you're like, oh, wow, oh, snap, the athletes aren't moving as much. You need to have a foundation. I can help you lay that foundation. Number two, understand there will, like I said, there will be more time with athletes for impactful programming. You will have more time with athletes for the impactful programming, right? In the Beyond model, that could be education opportunities, right? You will have more time with these athletes, right? Because they're there. They're not transferring, right? I told you transfer deals. They get one, and then they get one if they get a 4-year degree, right? So you're seeing either a player come in or a player leave after a degree. But in that span, you're going to have some time. You're going to have time. And so it goes back for you all that were in the space when I was in the space. My last year in it was 2021 before I transitioned to doing this full time. And there are some that are still there. Prepare. It's going to go back to what it looked like before, where you have time to see someone grow, where you can do newcomer freshman programming and sophomore programming, junior year, and see the growth of the athlete. So prepare for that. Number three, if I was a player development professional after reading this executive order, I would re-engage my alumni. re-engage my alumni. If this passes, re-engage your alumni. It's been tricky for alumni, right? It's been tricky for alumni, former players who want to help the current players because of all this transition. It's been tricky for them, right? It's been tough. They want to grasp people. They want to bring people in alumni, but I don't know who's alumni. This guy was here for 6 months. This guy was here for 12 months. This guy was here for 18 months. Who's a former player? Who did he graduate? How did it go like that, right? Now, if this thing sits, once again, there's going to be more stability. So you need to re-engage alumni. You don't want to lose them, right? If they're stuck, oh, this is how it's going to be. It's not how it's going to be. Things have changed. So if I was in the role of player development, I would re-engage alumni. I am big on alumni. I am big on alumni. It is the most overlooked aspect of player development and the resources there. Number 4, after you set these things, after you have your foundation, after you understand you have time, after you re-engage alumni, number 4, you need to communicate with your head coach. You need to communicate with your head coach and communicate with that head coach immediately to make sure they understand. They understand, hey, this is what we will do. There's going to be more stability. This is what player development can look like now. Here are the things we have. Here's the markers we're looking to hit. Here are the markers we will hit. This is what it looks like. You want to communicate with that coach so that they understand that you are prepared. You are prepared for the change that's coming and the stability that will return. Number 5. And this is one that, I don't know how you're going to track this. I know how I would, but enjoy the opportunity to develop the athletes in the traditional way. Enjoy it. You've been seeing athletes come in and out, in and out, in and out, right? You build a relationship and they're gone. Enjoy the opportunity to develop, to see someone go from freshman orientation to a senior, to see someone grow who transferred in their sophomore year and to see them grow into a graduate, right? Enjoy that time. Enjoy that time seeing athletes grow. So those are my thoughts on the executive order from President Donald Trump about saving college sports. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a lot of good stuff in there that if it's done the right way with the right people and how they typed it up, I think it will benefit athletes. I think it'll benefit college athletics overall and help us get out of this rodeo it seems like we're in right now. Now, you heard me talk about player development. You're here because of player development, right? If you want help creating a player development program, a player development system, framework for your program, or someone's program, maybe you're watching this, right? You're a parent or a coach, whatever it may be. If you know they need the systems I talk about, the Beyond system, belonging, education, your purpose, opportunities, navigation, development systems, please reach out to me. Email me at edward@btfprogram.com. If you're sitting there, you say, hey, well, I don't have a program, but I like what you talked about. If you like what I talked about, you will love my book. This is the Player Development Guide. It breaks down player development for you, what player development is, and how it can impact the lives of athletes. You can find it on Amazon. The link is in the show notes. Well, that was a quick breakdown there. I guess it was quick. It looks like I've been talking for 28 minutes. I may edit that part. I kind of wanted to go through without editing anything to get this all up to you all. But YouTube thinks. But this is a good video right here for you to watch, right? This talks right here about the Beyond model and planning for player development, right? It's right there. As I always say, go out and create generational impact. Don't wait. Create that generational impact today. Thank you so much. Like and share with somebody who needs to see this.